The PlayStation Store's end of the year sale is running right now, and maybe there aren't a ton of deals on games that are super recent releases. However, I would argue that this sale might be better than the Black Friday sale, just because there are a ton of back catalog games that I know a lot of you guys have missed out on that are super cheap right now, and that's really what I want to highlight in this video covering the end of the year sale. We'll do a couple videos on it before the end date of December 23rd. However, right now I want to take a look at 15 great deals under the price of $5. Yes, we're really limiting ourselves from a budget standpoint. However, there are a ton of good games under the price of $5. A lot of them I was really shocked at how cheap they're going. So without further ado, let's get right into it, and I will go through each game relatively quickly, so I'll keep you guys for as short as possible. So let's get right into it, and kicking things off, it's Dragon Age Inquisition Deluxe Edition, 75% off for $4.99. Now, I do believe the Game of the Year Edition is available for a little bit more. I think it's $9.99. However, to keep under that $5 price point, the Deluxe Edition is the version I'm gonna recommend. Dragon Age Inquisition was really one of the first really great games on current generation platforms, and probably the first truly great RPG. Now, at this point in 2019, it has been outpaced by some other titles. However, it still does hold up relatively well, and I think you guys are gonna have a lot of fun with it. I know at this point, BioWare isn't everybody's favorite developer. However, I thought they did a pretty good job with Dragon Age Inquisition, and for $4.99, I definitely would give it a buy. Next up, we've got Don't Starve Console Edition and the Reign of Giants expansion for $4.74. The complete Don't Starve experience bundle includes Don't Starve Console Edition, the renowned uncompromising wilderness survival game, and the Reign of Giants expansion pack. In the game, you play as Wilson, a gentleman scientist who has been trapped by a demon and transported to a mysterious wilderness world. Wilson must learn to exploit his environment and its inhabitants if he ever hopes to escape and find a way back to his home. If you're a fan of survival games or you just want something a little bit on the quirky side, Don't Starve is a game that's super easy to recommend, and at $4.74, it's a great buy. Next up, here's a game that didn't get a great reception at launch. However, here comes the difference of paying a $59.99 for a game at launch versus the $3.99 that Agents of Mayhem is right now. Yes, it's 80% off. And the thing about Agents of Mayhem is it was a game done by Volition, and it's an open world title, third-person action game, and obviously it's from Volition, so that is the creators of Saints Row, so it has some resemblances to that. Is it as good as Saints Row? No, it is not, unfortunately. However, it is still a very chaotic open world action title, and I think there is some fun to be had. If you're just paying $4 for it, I think it's a very good buy. If you want a no-nonsense open world title that just puts you into the thick of the action and you don't need to think too much to play it, I think Agents of Mayhem is a really good route for you. And again, at $4, you're literally talking about paying 1/15 of the initial cost, so comparatively speaking, yes, the reception wasn't great at $60, but at $4, it's a completely different ballgame. Next up, here's a game that I really enjoyed on the PlayStation Vita, and they put it on the PlayStation 4, and that is Escape Plan. It is 69% off for just $3.09. What a great deal for this. The award-winning survival humor game for PS Vita is now available for PS4. Help the heroes interact with unique and twisted puzzles of each room. Only you can help them survive before their captor and nemesis Bakuki recycles them and turns them into his minions. Access 78 puzzle rooms and also receive access to the lair featuring an additional 19 rooms. It's a very dark and humor-filled puzzle title, and just from a presentation standpoint, I find it awfully captivating, and I think you guys will see it the same way. And again, for just $3.09, I do think it's a great buy right now. Next up, we've got Flower, which is 63% off for just $2.58. This is a fantastic title. Flower was done by That Game Company, the studio that also brought you Journey, so obviously, when you go into Flower, you're expecting a more simple experience. However, at the same time, there's this level of depth to the game that isn't really there, smacking you in the face with it. It's not like Flower has layers of complex gameplay. However, it's a very interactive escape that takes you on an emotional journey like no other game you've experienced. It's simple gameplay. However, it's a very captivating experience, and Flower is one of those games that I highly recommend literally everyone to play, and at just $2.58, it is a fantastic buy right now. Next up, I know a lot of you guys are digging Monster Hunter World. However, how about you try a game that's similar to Monster Hunter, but more of an anime aesthetic? God Eater Resurrection is 75% off for $4.99. Now, obviously, we've gotten God Eater 2, we've gotten God Eater 3, but those games are a little bit more expensive. God Eater Resurrection, on the other hand, being 75% off for $4.99, I think it's a great monster hunting title, and while I do say it has similarities to Monster Hunter, it definitely has its own unique gameplay elements as well. Visually, it's not gonna blow your mind or anything. I mean, God Eater was originally a PSP game, however, it still looks relatively decent, and again, paying just $4.99 for it. If you're looking for a monster hunting title and you've exhausted MH World, or you want something with that anime aesthetic, I do think God Eater Resurrection is a good buy right now. Next up, here's a game that doesn't get a lot of attention, but how about Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2? This is a game that revives the good old action platform run and gun genre, but this time with a bunch of humor and buckets of blown off body parts. It's a sequel to Guns, Gore, and Cannoli, and Vidi Cannoli's story continues, and this time it's personal. This is a game that was received really well. Unfortunately, not a lot of people checked it out. However, if you want something that's action heavy and very visually pleasing with a co-op layer to it as well, I think Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2 is a great buy right now. Again, if you pick it up with a friend, you can have a lot of fun with it. And it does have local cooperative play as well, so that's something to note as well. And again, it's down to $4.54, so it's a great buy right now. Next up, we have HoHoKum. This is a game that released a few years ago. It has you take on the role of a curious flying kite-like being and travel to colorful, curious worlds waiting to be discovered, interact with characters and environments to uncover secrets, or simply roam at your own pace and be amused at the surprises that unfold. While there are goals and activities at its heart, HoHoKum is a playground, a place to wander about and get lost in. Visually, it's got a very simple aesthetic. However, this is one of those games that really accentuates its art style. It looks very different than every other game on the market, and for just $3.79, another one that came out a few years ago. Not too many people talk about it now, but at this price, it is worth a buy. Next up, Mad Max is 75% off for $4.99. I've talked about this game at length, and I always like to give it a recommendation when it does go on sale, because it is a well-designed open-world action-adventure title with great combat, something reminiscent of, say, Batman Arkham. It's very satisfying in that extent, and also, this is one of the best technically performing PlayStation 4 titles that has been released this generation. From a performance standpoint, a visual standpoint, it's okay visually, but really that frame rate and how smooth the game runs, that is something to behold in Mad Max, and it's a very good game. Maybe not worth the full $59.99 when it came out, but now at just $5, I would say it's a good buy. Next up, we have a game from one of my favorite studios in Housemarque, and that is Nex Machina. This is 75% off for $4.99, and Nex Machina is an intense arcade-style twin-stick shooter from Housemarque, taking hints from both Robotron and Smash TV. Nex Machina focuses on pure action, voxel destruction, and competition in the distant cyberpunk-themed future. So if you know what Housemarque is all about, you know they're about fast-paced, action-heavy titles, and this one definitely itches your bullet hell fix. Nex Machina is a great one. It's been received very well. Unfortunately, it seems like Housemarque is moving away from games like this. However, let's not talk about the negatives. Nex Machina is a great game, and $4.99 for it is a fantastic buy. And while we're on the topic of Housemarque, how about I give a shout to Resogun as well? It's 75% off for $3.74. And Resogun was one of those games that I don't think a lot of people were super excited for going into its release, because guess what? It released on launch day of the PlayStation 4. So on launch day, people were looking forward to the third-party games, people were looking forward to Killzone Shadowfall, people were even looking more forward to Knack. However, Resogun, you can make an argument that this was legitimately the best game of launch. Obviously, you can't go back in time 6 years, so now you do have to pay for it. But $3.74 is a great buy for this title. The presentation is top-notch, the visuals are excellent, it's got some great particle effects, sound design is great, and at $3.74, another one that is an easy recommendation. Next up, we've got Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which is 75% off for $4.99. Mirror's Edge Catalyst was one of those games that, yes, at its launch price of $59.99, and how much hype there was leading into its release, it was a colossal disappointment. However, now at $4.99, you're talking about a game that does have some good elements. I know Mirror's Edge Catalyst was a disappointment, however, there were elements of the game that I thought were good. The visuals are great, some of the platforming elements are still really good, and I feel like this is one of those games that, if you compare it to, like, say, its Metacritic score, it's actually aged pretty well, especially considering you're only paying $4.99. If you enjoyed Mirror's Edge back in 08, or you just want something a little bit on the unique side, given that EA doesn't really put out games like this, I would say that Mirror's Edge Catalyst is definitely worth a buy on that end. Next up, we have a game that I constantly try to make make happen, and some of you guys give me crap for it, but I'm not gonna stop, and that is the Order 1886 75% off for $4.99. Very similar to a bunch of the other games I mentioned, but the main drawback to the Order 1886 was the price point at launch. It was $59.99, and I'm sorry, that was just way too expensive for this game. Visually, it was one of the best games the PS4 had at the time, and it still holds up very, very well. It is a technical masterclass. The gameplay isn't anything to write home about, however, it's a competent enough cover-based third-person shooter, and the story, the world building, the characters, I felt like all of those elements were rather strong, and there was a lot of potential in the game for follow-up titles. I don't know if we're ever going to see an Order 1887, I imagine that we're not. However, given that Order 1886 is just $4.99 now, I think it's a game that everybody should go back and play, and I always see comments pop up of people saying, oh, I went back and played the Order and I really enjoyed it, I didn't get all the hate. Well, the hate was kind of justified considering people were dropping $60 and they were getting a 4 to 5 hour experience. However, a 4 to 5 hour experience is obviously much more palatable at a $4.99 price point. Next up, for those of you itching for a high quality cooperative title, Payday 2 CRIMEWAVE Edition is a phenomenal buy right now. It is 85% off for just $2.99, and this is a game that, yes, it is cooperative focused. You will want to jump into this game with a couple of friends. If you're playing it solo, if you're playing it with randoms online, you are not getting the most out of Payday 2. You want to have a squad of friends, and you can have a fantastic time with the game. The CRIMEWAVE Edition itself includes enhanced graphics engine for console, and some other perks, but it's that general Payday 2 experience that you know and love, and if you don't know it, you should get to know it, and you should get to love it, and you should jump in with some friends and have a great time for just $2.99. And lastly, I do want to note that Evil Within is 75% off for $4.99. Evil Within is a game that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed both the first title and the second title, and I will concede the fact that the second title is a much stronger game. However, Tango Gameworks did a good job with the first game, and I think overall there was a lot of elements to like out of the game. It's a very psychological, horror-driven title, and I think from that aspect, they did this game really well. If you play through Evil Within, you'll probably like it so much where you will want to check out the sequel, and the sequel, again, I do think it's a considerably better game. However, the first one is still pretty good, and I would give it a recommendation for you guys to go back and give it a look. And that's gonna conclude this video. I tried to get through it as fast as we could because we did have 15 games to go over, but a lot of good stuff available as a part of this sale, and honestly, as far as the games under $5, there were a couple of titles that I even had to cut out. There were some PlayStation 2 titles like Twisted Metal Black, I believe. There was Parappa the Rapper 2, there was Parappa the Rapper Remastered, all of those were under $5, but I tried to limit it to 15 games. I mean, hell, you've got Deer Simulator, which is $4.99, Dead Nation, $4.49, just a lot of good stuff on sale if you are a little bit open-minded and you're willing to try out a bunch of different genres. There's definitely something for everyone, and as far as quality titles at a higher budget, don't worry, I'll be covering that very, very soon. We'll look at games under the price of $10, and then we'll open the floodgates and look at everything as well. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.